What if I told you that paradise can become a graveyard in seconds? That the same turquoise waters and golden sands where millions find peace could hide the most horrific secrets imaginable? Have you ever trusted someone who turned out to be your worst nightmare? Someone whose smile masked pure evil, whose charm was just a weapon in disguise? If you have, you are not alone, and if you have not, consider yourself lucky, because what I am about to share with you will change how you see the people closest to you forever. We live in a world where danger wears designer clothes and drives luxury cars, where predators hide behind perfect Instagram profiles and smooth-talking promises, where the person saying "I love you" might be the same person planning your destruction. This is not just entertainment. This is education. This is survival. Hit that like button if you have ever felt something was too good to be true, because your gut instinct might just save your life. It was dawn on a humid Saturday morning in Miami Beach when a jogger made a discovery that would haunt an entire city. The Atlantic Ocean whispered its morning secrets as gentle waves kissed the shore. But nestled between the seaweed and driftwood, something waited that would shatter the illusion of paradise forever. A battered suitcase, blood-stained, abandoned, and inside it, the dismembered remains of a young woman whose only crime was falling in love with the wrong person. This is the story of Lila Moreno. 28 years old, artist, dreamer, victim. Her murder was so shocking, so calculated, and so brutal that even seasoned detectives struggled to process the evidence. But more importantly, this is a story about the red flags we all ignore, the warning signs we all miss, and the deadly price of toxic love. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to spot a predator before they strike. You will understand the psychology behind manipulation and control, and you will never look at relationships the same way again. Because Lila Moreno trusted the wrong person, and that trust cost her everything. So buckle up, turn up your volume, and prepare yourself for the most shocking murder Miami Beach has ever seen. A crime so unthinkable, you will not believe it is real. Marcus Thompson had been jogging this same route for 3 years. Every Saturday morning at 6:30, he would lace up his running shoes and hit the South Beach shoreline. The routine never changed. The path never surprised him. Until today. As Marcus rounded the rocky outcrop near Ocean Drive, something caught his eye. Dark against the pale sand, out of place, a large suitcase, partially buried under driftwood and tangled seaweed. The morning tide had clearly pushed it onto shore, but this was not typical beach debris. The case was expensive, black leather with metal corners, but it was damaged, scratched, and stained with something that made Marcus's stomach turn. He pulled out his phone with trembling fingers and dialed 911. Detective Eleanor Cruz arrived 23 minutes later. At 42 years old, she had seen enough crime scenes to know when something was catastrophically wrong. The salt air carried more than ocean spray this morning. It carried the metallic scent of blood. Cruz approached the suitcase with calculated steps. Her partner, Officer Jake Morales, secured the perimeter while she snapped on latex gloves. The beach was empty, except for the gulls circling overhead and the gentle crash of waves against the shore. "What do you think?" Morales asked, his voice tight with anticipation. Cruz knelt beside the case. The latches were still functional despite the damage. She took a deep breath and opened it. The smell hit her first, decomposition mixed with something chemical. Bleach, maybe. Then she saw the contents. Human remains, dismembered, wrapped in plastic garbage bags that had torn during transport. A torso, limbs. The work was methodical, precise. This was not a crime of passion. This was calculated butchery. "Dear God," Morales whispered, stepping back instinctively. Cruz forced herself to look closer. Female victim, based on body structure. Young, probably mid-20s. The killer had tried to remove identifying features, but they missed something crucial. Behind what remained of the left ear, Cruz spotted it. A small tattoo. Delicate black ink forming an intricate swirl pattern. Artistic. Unique. This was their first real clue. "Jake, get the forensics team down here now," Cruz ordered, her voice steady despite the horror before her. "And contact missing persons. We need to identify this victim immediately." As crime scene tape fluttered in the ocean breeze, Cruz stood and surveyed the beach. Somewhere in Miami, a killer was walking free. Someone who thought the ocean would wash away their sins. They were wrong. The hunt had just begun. The tattoo was the key that unlocked everything. Within 48 hours, Detective Cruz had a name. Lila Moreno, 28 years old, missing for 6 days. And suddenly, a dismembered body became a human being with dreams, fears, and a story worth telling. Lila had come to Miami Beach 18 months earlier with nothing but a suitcase full of paintbrushes and a heart full of hope. She was running from a small town in Ohio where everyone knew everyone and everyone knew her business, where her mistakes followed her like shadows and second chances did not exist. Miami was supposed to be different. Miami was supposed to be her fresh start. She rented a tiny studio apartment in Wynwood, surrounded by street art and creative energy. Every morning she would walk to her job at Ocean Breeze Bar on Collins Avenue, serving drinks to tourists while saving every dollar for art supplies. Every evening she would paint until her fingers cramped, creating vibrant canvases that captured the hope she felt in her new city. Lila was pure light. Her best friend Sophia Reyes told detectives, tears streaming down her face. She believed Miami would heal all her old wounds. She believed people could change, that love could conquer anything. She was so naive, but in the most beautiful way. Sophia met Lila at a community art show in Wynwood, 6 months after Lila arrived. They bonded over their shared love of abstract painting and late-night conversations about life. Sophia became the sister Lila never had, the confidant who listened to her dreams without judgment. Those dreams were simple but powerful. Lila wanted to open her own gallery someday. She wanted to showcase local artists who, like her, were searching for their place in the world. She wanted to prove that broken people could create beautiful things. She would stay up until 3 in the morning, working on pieces for her portfolio, Sophia remembered. She had this series called Phoenix Rising, about women rebuilding their lives. It was going to be her breakthrough. But here is what makes this story so tragic and so important for all of us to understand. Lila was exactly the type of person predators target. She was alone in a new city. She was desperate for connection. She was recovering from past trauma. She was hopeful, trusting, and willing to see the best in people. These are not weaknesses. These are beautiful human qualities, but to the wrong person, they become opportunities. Lila Moreno was not stupid. She was not asking for what happened to her. She was simply a young woman trying to rebuild her life, seeking love and acceptance in a world that can be incredibly cruel to the vulnerable. And that vulnerability made her the perfect victim for someone who knew exactly how to exploit hope, twist love into possession, and turn dreams into nightmares. Sophia would later tell investigators something that still haunts the case today. Lila used to say Miami saved her life. She had no idea it would also end it. Victor Salazar was everything Lila thought she wanted in a man. At 34, Vic was successful, charming, and devastatingly handsome. He sold luxury condos along Biscayne Boulevard, drove a sleek black Mercedes, and wore suits that cost more than most people made in a month. When he walked into Ocean Breeze Bar on that fateful Tuesday evening in March, every woman in the room noticed. But Vic only had eyes for Lila. He was like something out of a movie, Sophia recalled. Confident, well-spoken, generous with his money. He ordered the most expensive bottle of champagne we had and left Lila a $200 tip on a $40 tab. This was classic love bombing, the first weapon in every manipulator's arsenal. Vic did not just ask Lila out. He swept her off her feet with grand gestures that made her feel like royalty. Private dinners at 5-star restaurants, weekend trips to Key West, expensive jewelry that appeared without special occasions, flowers delivered to her workplace so often that her co-workers started calling her princess. "I have never been treated like this before," Lila gushed to Sophia after their 3rd date. "He makes me feel so special, so valuable, like I am worth something." But Sophia, watching from the outside, started noticing things that made her uncomfortable. Vic wanted to know where Lila was every moment of the day. He would text constantly, asking for photos of her location. When she did not respond immediately, he would show up at the bar unannounced, claiming he was worried about her safety. He bought her a new phone after 2 months of dating. For better pictures, he said. But Sophia noticed Lila never seemed to have privacy anymore. Vic started making subtle comments about her appearance. "You would look so much better in blue," became, "Why are you wearing that ugly color?" He bought her new clothes, new makeup, new everything. On the surface, it looked generous. In reality, he was erasing her identity piece by piece. He would criticize her friends, Sophia remembered. He would say things like, "Sophia seems jealous of our happiness," or "Your co-workers are holding you back." He was isolating her, but he made it sound like protection. The most dangerous red flag was how quickly Vic moved the relationship forward. Within 6 weeks, he was talking about marriage. Within 2 months, he had convinced Lila to spend most nights at his apartment. Within 3 months, he was managing her finances, claiming he wanted to help her save for their future. Comment below if you have seen these red flags in relationships around you. Because what I just described is not romantic. It is not love. It is the systematic destruction of another person's independence. Love bombing is a manipulation tactic where predators overwhelm their victims with excessive attention, affection, and gifts. The goal is to create emotional dependency as quickly as possible. Real love grows slowly. It respects boundaries. It encourages independence. Vic Salazar was not falling in love with Lila Moreno. He was hunting her. And by the time Sophia realized what was happening, Lila was already too deep in the web to see the danger. She had traded her freedom for the illusion of being cherished. She had mistaken control for care. The transformation was complete. Lila, the independent artist with big dreams, had become Vic's possession. The fairy tale lasted exactly 4 months. Then the mask began to slip. It started with small things. Vic questioning why Lila needed to paint so late at night, why she had to work weekend shifts at the bar, why she spent so much time texting Sophia. He would go through her phone while she was sleeping, Sophia revealed to detectives. Lila told me he justified it by saying couples should not have secrets, but he never let her look through his phone. The arguments became more frequent, more intense. Neighbors in Lila's Wynwood apartment building started hearing raised voices through the thin walls, glass breaking, furniture being thrown. When Detective Cruz and Officer Morales entered Lila's apartment 3 days after the beach discovery, the scene told a story of escalating violence. The living room looked like a war zone. Her easel was overturned. Paintbrushes scattered across the hardwood floor like broken bones. A half-finished canvas lay torn in the corner. Vibrant blues and yellows now slashed with jagged cuts. Wine stains spread across the white walls like abstract art nobody wanted to create. But it was the broken mirror in the bedroom that spoke volumes. 7 years of bad luck shattered into 1,000 pieces, each fragment reflecting a different angle of destruction. This was not one fight, Cruz observed, photographing the damage. This was months of violence building to a breaking point. Sophia remembered the last conversation she had with Lila. It was Thursday, April 18th, 2 days before Lila disappeared. She called me crying, Sophia testified. She said Vic had found her secret savings account, the money she was putting away to eventually leave him. He accused her of planning to abandon him, of using him for his money. Lila had been trying to escape. Slowly, quietly, she had been putting away $20 here, $50 there, building a fund that would let her disappear and start over somewhere else. But Vic discovered her plan. He went crazy, Sophia continued. He threw her paintings out the window, destroyed everything she had been working on for months. Then he grabbed her by the throat and told her she belonged to him forever. The final argument happened on Friday night, April 19th. Multiple witnesses saw it unfold on the sidewalk outside Vic's luxury apartment building. Maria Santos, walking her dog at 11:30 that evening, heard Lila screaming, "I cannot do this anymore. You are killing me inside." James Rodriguez, coming home from his late shift, watched Vic grab Lila's arm and drag her back toward the building entrance. She was trying to get away, he told police, but he was much stronger than her. The last person to see Lila alive was Carlos Mendez, the night security guard. He watched Vic force Lila into the elevator at 11:47 that Friday night. Lila Moreno never left that building alive. By Saturday morning, while Marcus Thompson was discovering a blood-stained suitcase on South Beach, Vic Salazar was already crafting his alibi, already preparing his lies, already planning how to make Lila Moreno disappear from his life forever. The paradise he had promised her had become her prison, and when she tried to escape, he made sure she never could. Detective Eleanor Cruz had not told anyone about Isabella in 7 years. Isabella Cruz, her younger sister by 3 years, had vanished from a college campus in Orlando when Eleanor was still a rookie patrol officer. 21 years old, bright future ahead of her, studying to become a teacher. One day she was there, the next day she was gone. No body, no suspects, no answers. Standing in Layla's destroyed apartment, Cruz felt something she had buried deep in her chest suddenly claw its way back to the surface. The same helplessness, The same rage, the same desperate need to bring someone home. "Elena, you okay?" Officer Morales asked, noticing his partner had gone completely still while examining the broken mirror. Cruz did not answer immediately. She was seeing Isabella's dorm room the way it looked when campus security finally let the family inside. Clothes scattered, textbooks thrown around, signs of a struggle that investigators had dismissed as typical college messiness. The cases were different, but the feeling was identical. Young women, full of hope, trusting the wrong people. Families left with nothing but questions and an empty chair at the dinner table. Isabella was dating someone new that semester, Cruz finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Older guy, charming, successful. We never met him because Isabella said he was shy about meeting families too soon." Morales had been Cruz's partner for 4 years. He knew she had lost someone close to her, but she had never shared details before. After she disappeared, we found out this mystery boyfriend did not exist in any of her social circles. No one had ever seen them together, no photos, no proof he was real except for Isabella's descriptions of their dates. Cruz turned away from the mirror and faced her partner. "I think he was real, Jake. I think he targeted her specifically. And I think whoever killed Lila used the exact same playbook." From that moment forward, the Lila Moreno case became more than an assignment for Detective Cruz. It became a chance at redemption, a chance to give another family the answers hers never received. Morales watched his partner work with an intensity that worried him. She stayed at the precinct until midnight reviewing evidence. She interviewed witnesses multiple times, looking for details everyone else missed. She built timelines and connections that bordered on obsessive. "Elena, when is the last time you went home?" he asked one evening, finding her still at her desk at 9 o'clock. "I will go home when Vic Salazar is behind bars," she replied without looking up from her files.
Morales, understood.
Cruz was not just hunting Lila's killer. She was hunting the ghost that had haunted her family for 7 years. She was fighting for every woman who trusted the wrong person and paid the ultimate price. This case was personal, and that made Cruz both the best detective for the job and the most dangerous one. The evidence started small, but it grew into an avalanche that would bury Victor Salazar alive. It began with a single drop of blood, found in the trunk of Vic's Mercedes. DNA analysis confirmed it belonged to Lila Moreno. When confronted, Vic claimed she had cut herself loading grocery bags into his car weeks earlier. But Detective Cruz was not buying it. "Run every camera in a 5-block radius of his apartment building," Cruz ordered her team. "I want to see every second of Friday night through Sunday morning." The surveillance footage told a damning story. At 12:17 on Saturday morning, just 30 minutes after the last witness saw Lila being forced into Vic's building, cameras captured him loading something heavy into his trunk, something wrapped in plastic and duct tape. At 2:43 that same morning, traffic cameras spotted Vic's Mercedes heading toward South Beach. He stayed there for 47 minutes. When he returned, his trunk was empty. But the most devastating evidence came from Lila's phone, which Vic had forgotten to dispose of properly. The device was found in a dumpster behind his building, water-damaged but recoverable. The text messages between Vic and Lila painted a terrifying picture of escalating control and violence. Messages that started romantic quickly became possessive, then threatening. "You belong to me now. Do not forget that." March 28th. "If you ever try to leave me, I will make sure you regret it." Mine. April 5th. "I know about the money you are hiding. You think you can escape me. Think again." April 17th. And finally, the message that sealed his fate, sent at 11:52 on Friday night, just 5 minutes after the last witness saw them together. "You should not have tried to run. Now look what you made me do." When detectives executed a search warrant on Vic's apartment, they found a crime scene he thought he had cleaned perfectly. But forensic technology does not lie. Luminol revealed blood spatter patterns across the white marble floor of his kitchen. Microscopic analysis found Lila's DNA embedded in the grout between tiles, hair fibers caught in the garbage disposal, traces of bleach that could not hide what had happened in that sterile, expensive apartment. "He killed her in the kitchen," Cruz explained to the district attorney, "dismembered her there, thought bleach and expensive cleaning supplies could erase the evidence, but blood tells the truth, even when killers think they are smart enough to hide it." The most chilling discovery was Vic's internet search history from the weeks before Leah's murder. Searches for how to dissolve a body, best locations to dump evidence in Miami, And how long before police stopped looking for missing persons? This was not a crime of passion. This was premeditated murder. When Detective Cruz and Officer Morales arrived at Vic's real estate office to arrest him, they found a man who had clearly been expecting this moment. His desk was clean, his computer wiped, his lawyer already on speed dial. "Mr. Salazar, you are under arrest for the murder of Lila Moreno," Cruz announced, her voice steady despite the satisfaction she felt watching him squirm. Vic looked directly at her with cold, calculating eyes. "I want my attorney," he said calmly, "and I have nothing to say about any alleged crime." But his composure was cracking. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the air conditioning. His hands shook as he reached for his phone. This was a man who had spent days preparing for this moment, practicing his responses, crafting his denials. "Share this video if you think everyone needs to see these warning signs." The interrogation room at Miami Beach Police Department was stark white and windowless. Detective Cruz sat across from Victor Salazar at a metal table, a digital recorder between them capturing every word. For 2 hours, Vic maintained his innocence with rehearsed precision. "I loved Lila," he repeated like a mantra. "I would never hurt her. We had our problems, but every couple fights." Cruz had seen this before. Abusers always rewrite history to make themselves the victim. Even when caught red-handed, they cannot stop trying to control the narrative. "Mr. Salazar, we found Lila's blood in your car. We have surveillance footage of you disposing of her body. We recovered her phone with your threatening messages," Cruz said calmly. "The evidence is overwhelming." Vic's lawyer shifted uncomfortably, but Vic himself remained defiant. "Coincidences, misunderstandings. You are building a case around assumptions." But then Cruz played her ace card. She slid a photograph across the table. Lila's tattoo, the delicate swirl behind her ear, photographed in the suitcase on South Beach. "Tell me how this tattoo ended up dismembered in a suitcase if you did not kill her, Mr. Salazar." That was the moment everything changed. Vic stared at the photograph for 30 seconds without speaking. His breathing became shallow. His hands began to tremble. The carefully constructed facade he had maintained for days suddenly crumbled like a sandcastle hit by a wave. "She was going to leave me," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "After everything I did for her, after all the money I spent, the life I gave her, she was going to throw it all away." His lawyer immediately intervened. "Victor, do not say another word." But the dam had burst. Years of narcissistic rage poured out in a confession that chilled everyone in the room. "She thought she could just walk away from me like I was nothing," Vic continued, his voice growing stronger, angrier, like our relationship meant nothing. "I made her into something special, and she wanted to go back to being a nobody." Cruz leaned forward. "So you killed her?" "It was not supposed to happen that way," Vic snapped. "I just wanted to scare her. Make her understand that she could not survive without me. But she kept fighting back, kept trying to leave." The details that followed were horrific. Vic described the argument that escalated into violence, how he struck Lila during their fight in his kitchen, how she fell and hit her head on the marble countertop, how instead of calling for help, he decided to make the problem disappear forever. "I panicked," he admitted. "But then I realized this could be my chance to start over, find someone who would appreciate what I had to offer." The most chilling part was not the violence itself, but Vic's complete inability to see Lila as a human being. Even in confession, he spoke about her like she was property he had lost, an investment that had not paid off. This is how abusive minds work. They never accept responsibility. They always find ways to blame their victims. Even when caught, even when confessing, they still believe they are the ones who were wronged. Victor Salazar had murdered Lila Moreno, but in his twisted reality, she had betrayed him first. After his confession, Victor Salazar tried to run. While being processed for booking, Vic slipped away from his escort officer during a bathroom break. For 6 hours, Miami Beach police conducted a manhunt across the city. Helicopters circled overhead. K9 units tracked his scent through downtown streets. They found him at an abandoned warehouse near the port of Miami, attempting to board a cargo ship bound for South America. When police surrounded the building, Vic barricaded himself inside, screaming that he was being framed, that Lila had deserved what happened to her. The standoff lasted 3 hours. Police negotiators tried to talk him down, while SWAT teams positioned themselves around the building. Finally, tear gas forced him out with his hands raised, coughing and defeated. The man who had once commanded luxury real estate deals was now just another criminal in handcuffs. 2 weeks later, the Winewood community gathered to honor Lila Moreno's memory. Hundreds of people filled the small park where Lila used to sit and sketch on Sunday afternoons. Artists brought easels and painted portraits of her from photographs. Musicians played soft acoustic songs. Strangers who had never met Lila came because her story had touched their hearts. Sophia Reyes spoke through tears about her friend's dreams and the light she brought to everyone around her. Lila believed in fresh starts and second chances, Sophia said, her voice carrying across the silent crowd. She believed people could change for the better. We honor her by protecting other women who share that same beautiful hope. Candles flickered in the evening breeze as people shared stories about domestic violence, manipulation, and survival. What started as a memorial became a support network for others who recognized themselves in Layla's story. Detective Cruz stood at the edge of the gathering, watching the community come together around shared grief and determination. Officer Morales approached her quietly. "You did good, Elena," he said. "Lila got justice because you would not give up." Cruz nodded, but her eyes were distant. "This case made me realize something, Jake. Isabella is never coming home, but maybe helping families like this one can finally give me some peace." For the first time in 7 years, Cruz felt like she could breathe again. The Lila Moreno case opened doors to broader investigations across Miami. 3 other missing women cases were reopened after similarities to Vic's methods were discovered. Dating apps began implementing safety features. Domestic violence organizations received increased funding. Lila's death was not in vain if it prevented other tragedies. As the memorial candles burned down to small flames in the Miami night, the community made a promise. They would remember Lila Moreno. They would watch for warning signs. They would protect each other. Because sometimes the greatest tribute to a life lost is ensuring others get to keep living. The story of Lila Moreno is not just about one woman's tragic death. It is about the warning signs we all need to recognize before it is too late. Love bombing is real. When someone showers you with excessive gifts, attention, and promises early in a relationship, that is not romance. That is manipulation. Real love develops slowly and respects your independence. Isolation is a weapon. When your partner criticizes your friends, monitors your communications, or makes you feel guilty for maintaining other relationships, they are cutting off your support system deliberately. Healthy partners encourage your connections with others. Financial control is abuse. When someone manages your money, monitors your spending, or prevents you from having your own accounts, they are trapping you. Financial independence is freedom. But this story also shows us something equally important: the power of friendship and community vigilance. Sophia Reyes saw the warning signs. She tried to help her friend. If Lila had lived, it would have been because someone like Sophia refused to look away when things seemed wrong. We all have a responsibility to watch out for each other. If someone in your life suddenly changes their behavior, becomes isolated, or seems afraid of their partner, do not ignore those signs. Ask questions, offer support, be the lifeline they might desperately need. Predators like Victor Salazar target vulnerability. But vulnerability is not weakness. People starting over, healing from trauma, or simply hoping for love are not asking to be victimized. The blame belongs entirely on those who exploit trust and kindness. Never let anyone tell you that victims should have known better. Manipulation is sophisticated. Abusers are skilled actors who specialize in deception. The only person responsible for Victor's crimes was Victor himself. As the sun rises over Miami Beach each morning, the ocean continues to whisper its secrets to the shore. But now those whispers carry a different message. They remind us that beauty and danger can coexist in the same space, that paradise requires vigilance to remain safe. Every wave that crashes against the sand where Layla's body was found serves as a reminder that we must protect each other, that love should never hurt, that control is not care. Detective Cruz returned to that beach 1 year after the case closed. She stood where Marcus Thompson made his terrible discovery and thought about both Lila and Isabella, 2 young women whose stories had different endings, but whose lives mattered equally. The investigation that began with a battered suitcase became a catalyst for change. New domestic violence resources, enhanced police training, community awareness programs. Lila Moreno's death was a tragedy, but her story has the power to save lives. Subscribe and ring that bell, because every story we tell could save a life. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. because somewhere out there, another Lila might be planning her escape, and your awareness could be the difference between freedom and becoming another statistic. Remember her name, remember the warning signs, and never stop fighting for those who cannot fight for themselves.